Brent asked, is Dalton Knecht the best overall player at UT since Allan Houston? I mean, that's a I don't know. I mean,
Chris Lofton's the best shooter.
Okay, thank you. You said that's exact.
Chris Lofton's probably the best shooter ever to put on a Tennessee jersey, but that says best overall player, and there's a lot more to Dalton Knecht's game than Chris Lofton's.
Yeah. I mean, that was what I was going to come to. It was, I think the key word there is overall. I think that's the key word, because okay, the move that Dalton had yesterday where he drove the right side of the lane and elevated and finger rolled it over the top of two guys, Chris Lofton ain't gonna do that. Like, that's not happening.
He's not even gonna try it. He knows better.
Yeah. So, it's stuff like that is what would make Dalton a better overall player. If we're just talking about better shooter, then it's not even close. It's Chris Lofton.
He had that one play where he drove from the right wing, got in the middle of the lane, did a Euro step, and somehow got to the opposite side of the lane, and then a left-handed finger roll with his arm completely outstretched away from the defender, and it's like
off his left foot too.
How do you even do that? It's just different.
Tony said Knecht can create his own shot. Not many people can do that. Zach said Knecht,
and it's not just the threes and getting to the basket. He's got the mid-range game too. Like, anytime he wants to, he can stop and shoot. It's incredible.
Well, and another thing that people could say in favor of Chris, like, I can't think of another person other than Chris Lofton who would be considered in the same conversation right now.
Right.
I think that another thing that people might say in favor of Chris Lofton is, well, okay, but he's a guy that you can just give him the ball and say, okay, go score, take over the game. Well, we've seen Rick Barnes do that already with Dalton as well. It was at the end of the North Carolina game. So I don't know, maybe the last 6 minutes, maybe not that much, maybe 5 minutes of the game. The offense was give the ball to Dalton. That was the
screen. Just give him the ball, high ball screen. Let's go.
And I mean, it wasn't even like they were bringing the ball up the court, letting Dalton get open off a screen or something on the wing and pass to him. He was bringing the ball up the court, literally from 90 something feet, 94 feet from baseline to baseline. They were like, "Here's the ball, Dalton, go score." There has been no one at Tennessee that they could say that to since Chris Lofton. And so, that argument in favor of Chris Lofton would also apply to Dalton. So, I mean, I think Brent makes a really good point here. I mean, the only guy in the same category would be Chris Lofton, and Dalton can do things that Chris can't.
Yeah.
So
now I think if Coach Barnes had taken the handcuffs off Grant and allowed him to float around a little more and shoot the ball more from the perimeter like the Celtics did when he got to the NBA, we might be having that conversation about Grant, because that wasn't just something he magically learned to do in the NBA. They just handcuffed him when he was at Tennessee. I would have liked to have seen him more free-flowing with the ability to float out, knock down threes when they don't come guard him, but he's just never really given the option.
Zach makes a good point. He said Tobias Harris is up there too, Grant Williams. I agree.
But he wasn't as good of a shooter.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Tobias became a better shooter when he got to the NBA, and he could focus on growing his shot. He wasn't that great of a shooter at Tennessee.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say, was he's probably not as good of a shooter as Dalton is right now. Brant said Allan Houston was amazing on some terrible teams. Knecht seems like he's from the same mold and now has a better supporting cast. Let's go ahead and get Sweet 16 tickets. Hey, man, I love it. Absolutely. Absolutely. Brant, that is thank you so much for bringing that question to us, because that is a fantastic question. That was fun to talk about.